There are no guarantees whether or not you're going to have your job tomorrow. There are no guarantees whether or not your business is going to go down. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm basically saying, what are the things that we need to do to protect ourselves? What are the things that we need to do to secure ourselves? Especially if you look like me, especially if you're an immigrant, especially if you're a woman. Like, what are the things we need to do? Hi guys. So I just got back from Harvard. I did a thing and I learned so much, and I promised myself that immediately I got back, I was going to come on here and share everything I've learned. This has been a dream for me to go to Harvard University. I'm an executive coach, I'm a leadership coach, and I help people maximize their potential. I help people get promoted. I help people get money, get that bag, and I committed myself to making sure to learn everything that I can to be able to bring my best self to coaching relationships. I feel that all the experience that I got within this program will be very helpful, especially for those who are looking to level up, for those who are looking to do better than their current self. That's what I'm going to be offering today. So if you're someone who is in your career right now and you're trying to figure out, is this even the right career for me? Do I even love what I'm doing? Is there anything I could be doing differently? Why is everybody around me getting promoted and I keep getting stuck in the same role? I guess story time. How did I get into Harvard? Basically, I am a coach, like I shared, and I support people. And I'm like, how can I get the best possible experience for people to support them with their career, to support them with growth? Especially immigrants, especially people who look like me, because people who look like me don't go to Harvard. But here we are. I'm not saying black people don't go to Harvard, but I don't know about you guys. Personally, I never saw it in the cards for me. So, what is the first thing that I learned? The first thing that I learned is that right now we're in what's called a VUCA world. And a VUCA world is pretty much a lot of volatility. So, I won't be surprised if you've had at least one person who has lost their jobs or one person who is struggling financially. There's a lot of volatility right now. So, how can we position ourselves to be successful in a world where everything is crazy? You have a 9 to 5 right now. You have a business right now. There are no guarantees whether or not you're going to have your job tomorrow. There are no guarantees whether or not your business is going to go down. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm basically saying, what are the things that we need to do to protect ourselves? What are the things that we need to do to secure ourselves, especially if you look like me, especially if you're an immigrant, especially if you're a woman? Like, what are the things we need to do? The next thing I learned are thoughts. I learned about our thoughts. A lot of times we tend to focus on how we feel, and we don't realize that your thoughts travel and emotions are contagious. How do your thoughts impact you? And I need you to write that down. Do you believe everything your mind tells you? So, for instance, you're in a workplace and you're about to give, say, a presentation, and your mind is like, you're going to do terrible at this presentation. Do you believe that? So, there's an opportunity for us to, number one, separate ourselves from our minds and understand that your mind, kind of like objectify your mind. There was an example that we talked about in class where you can think about your mind as a separate entity. So, if you put your mind as outside of yourself, what are the things that your mind is telling you? And how can you control your mind? Because not everything it says is true. So even if your mind is telling you you're not going to do well in a presentation, even if your mind is telling you you're going to lose a job, there is an opportunity for you to look at that as a different person. That is not truth. That is just your mind telling you something based on data. And we can definitely go into mind control and how we even started to get those narratives. But the key learning for me is your mind is not always right. So the fact that you're thinking it and you're feeling it doesn't mean it's true. The third thing I learned is you are a self-expert. So you get to determine what works for you, especially when you're in the workplace. You know your mind, you know what works for you, and you should be able to control your mind and say, hey, right now I'm about to go into a presentation. Why do you feel like I'm not going to do well at that presentation? Why do you feel like I'm going to lose my job? And I'm saying talking to your mind. So what kind of exercise can you do to support yourself? When you feel a negative thought, write it down, because that helps to objectify it. It helps to take it out of like, okay, this is just narrative that's going on at the back of my mind to now I'm looking at it on a piece of paper. And so you read it. My mind is telling me that I'm going to do terrible at that presentation. My mind is telling me that, I don't know, my boyfriend is going to break up with me. My mind is telling me that my business is not going to succeed. What is a different way that I can think about that? What is a different way that I can reframe that thought so that it is productive for me? So you write that down and then you reframe it. Now the question comes, like, the fact that I thought something, I wrote it down and I reframed it, that doesn't change anything. That doesn't force me to now actually think that. Well, it took you a while to always have those negative thoughts in your mind. In the same vein, it's going to take you a while for you to unlearn thinking negative things about yourself. You think a negative thought, you write it down, you reframe it, and then you continue to do that. There's a third piece to that puzzle, which is looking for data. Your personality is formed based on data. The things that you believe are formed based on data. So what do I mean by that? If the first time you thought, okay, I'm going to bungle this presentation, right? Or maybe I'm about to apply for a grant, I'm not going to get it. Let's say that was the negative thought that came to mind. So you wrote down a negative thought, you reframed it, and then you went for that opportunity, and then you actually got the grant, or you got the promotion, or you didn't bungle your presentation. That is data. The way to utilize that data is to write it down. So you write down your negative thought, you write down the reframe, like a positive way to think about the negative thought. And the third piece of that is to write down evidence that your reframed thought, that the positive thought came to pass. And if you continue to do that, over time, you start to show your mind evidence that all those negative things that we're always thinking most times are not true. Basically, most of the negative things we think, or the negative self-talk, most times we're making assumptions. Most times they don't come to pass. Most times we actually do well. Most times we actually succeed. If you take the time to recognize the times that you're succeeding, to recognize the times that you're actually doing well, then your brain starts to see the evidence that, oh, actually, these are just negative thoughts that I've imbibed over time. I need to more so focus on the times that I did things right. So if you're someone who always has negative thoughts, that's the way you can reframe it. We shouldn't think about self-improvement as static. A lot of times, especially if you're in the workplace, most times my coaching is related to career. And so if you're thinking about yourself, okay, how can I do this thing better? How do we isolate improvement, self-improvement, from being static to being continuous? What do I mean by that? Two different ways of looking at it. How do I improve on this thing? Or who do I need to become to improve on this thing? It's very nuanced, but the difference is, for the first option I gave, which is how do I improve on this thing, you're only thinking about that specific thing that you're trying to improve on. Let's say you're trying to go give a presentation. How do I make sure I sound smart in a presentation? Versus, who do I need to become to give an effective presentation? Two completely different things, but they all get you to the same result. The difference is, the first one allows you sound smart in the presentation, but the other one has a more holistic effect in your growth and your development. So who do you need to become to give an effective presentation? You're not just working on the content of the presentation, you're also working on your belief system, your mindset, you're working on confidence, you're working on your presence. There's so many things that you're working on when you think about who you need to become. So don't focus just on that static event or thing that you're trying to improve. Rather, focus on your person. Who do I need to become to get to that next level? Who do I need to become to be more effective, to be successful? And that is a more sustainable way to improve yourself.